call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just as a note, executive sessions were held on September 21st and 26th for personnel matters. Next on the agenda, Commissioner Evans, do we have any opening comments?
Thank you. Yes, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're all in this together. Just a reminder, only questions or statements regarding an agenda item will be entertained under citizens to be heard at the top of the meeting. All other matters will be recognized during public comment at the end of the meeting. There's a weird thing on the screen. As most of us know, in the neighborhoods surrounding North and South Lloyd already know, Aqua Pennsylvania's $2.36 million infrastructure project to replace aging water mains in Chester County has come to town. Unfortunately, the current phase and next two phases will interrupt the lives of those town residents. Phase 1, Poorhouse Road from Marshallton-Thorndale to Deer Drive is ongoing and expected to run into November. Phase 3, Lloyd Avenue from Gardner's Bridge to Rock Raymond Road should begin in November and be completed in January 2024. Phase 2, Lloyd Avenue between Deer Drive and Gardner's Bridge should run February into May 2024. It's a drag to deal with construction projects, but in the long run, infrastructure improvements are good for all. The final hexagonal schoolhouse and Cowan Meeting House tours of 2023 will be this Sunday, October 1st, between 1 and 3 p.m. These free tours are a joint effort of the Cowan Historical Commission and Old Cowan Historical Society. Our chipping program begins Monday, October 9th, but the deadline to register is this Saturday, September 30th. Please check the website for program details and how to register if you haven't already done so. Don't miss your chance to meet Sparky the Firehouse Dog at the Thorndale Volunteer Fire Company's open house on Saturday, October 14th, between noon and 3 p.m. There will be a vehicle rescue demonstration, apparatus, tools, and gear displays, fire safety info, and a fire extinguisher simulation. Engine 38 has been serving our community since 1939. This year alone, they've answered the fire bell 344 times through August. They're on track to surpass 550 calls for 2023. We often take it for granted that they'll always be there when we need them, but they do need our support. Please consider volunteering or making a financial contribution today. Our managerial search has provided an embarrassment of riches, and some tough choices must be made. The final rose ceremony is coming soon. We can tell you this much: our next manager will have the vision, experience, and belief in Cowan needed to take us to the next level. And a reminder, when we all work together, there's nothing we can't do. Spread kindness, everyone. Anger, grudges, and resentments are not worth our time or energy. Compassion, empathy, peace, and love, these are what make the world go round.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. Next on the agenda, we have citizens to be heard for agenda items. Anyone here in the township building? I see none. Any in Zoom world? None at this time. We can move right along. We have the presentation for our 2022 general audit, presented by Chris Herr. Mr. Herr, welcome.
Hi. Hi.
He's taller than Tony, so I'm gonna have to raise that up.
Whatever. All right, thank you. Appreciate being here tonight to present what is currently in draft form of the 2022 financial statement, but hopefully we'll be issuing the final next week. But we wanted to get the presentation in for this meeting. I do have a brief executive summary that's you should all have. It's up on the screen now. That'll kind of cover the main bullet points of the audit and financially what happened in 2022. So the first page here, this is just our overall summary of the audit result. Our auditor's report on the financial statement is an unmodified opinion, also known as a clean opinion. It is it's the most positive opinion you can get on your financial statements, what you want to have on it. So that's good news. What that unmodified opinion essentially means is that, in our opinion, there's no material misstatements in the financial, complies with all GAAP requirements. That's just generally accepted accounting principles that any government, nonprofit, for-profit business has to follow. No scope limitations. We come into the audit with a very lengthy list of everything that we want to see, from bank statements and recs to every employee's W-2 to payroll records to a whole lot of invoices, receipt backup, and everything else you can think of in between that has to deal with finances. And we did receive everything we needed in order to conduct the audit. The audit also complies with all GASB pronouncements. That's the Governmental Accounting Standards Boards. These are the rules that are specific to governments. Now, within the opinion, there is an emphasis of matter in there. It's not a negative thing. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's our ability to sort of emphasize a matter to a reader. There's really two things that fell in under that this year. We did have a new GASB that we had to implement this year, GASB 87 for leases. In the past, the only leases that you would really record in your financial would be, if you leased a vehicle or some major piece of equipment where you were the lessee. That would be recorded on your statements as a liability. They've expanded the rules for leases, and now anytime that you're a lessor, we're now required to record that in the statements as well. So we did a deep dive into your financials, and we found two major contracts where you're the lessor, and they are cell towers. You have a cell tower lease with Verizon and one with Singular. So on the general fund and the capital project fund, you'll now see a lease receivable of about $460,000 for the Verizon lease running through 2040, and $306,000 for the Singular lease running through 2034. That is offset on the balance sheet. There's a receivable, and then there's an offsetting unavailable revenue liability. So very little impact on your actual fund balance or your revenues and expenses for the year. It's basically a wash, but we have to do it. We have to comply with the GASB. So you will see that, and you'll also see a new a new footnote in the financial if you're reading through it. It's footnote D for leases. So that was one of the big new things that we had to, I know Lisa had a heck of a time tracking down some of those agreements because they're older and run well into the future, but we were able to get what we needed there. There's also an emphasis of matter. We do have a prior period adjustment in the financials this year, but that is not because of an error in the prior years. Your non-uniform plan operates through PMRS. And for the 21, and I think maybe even the 20 financials, the PMRS data was so late that we were behind in what was your financials. They finally got caught up. We have timely data in the 22 financial, and we just adjusted some beginning balances to reflect what last year's ending balances would have been had we received the PMRS data on time. So no issues there, just corrections, getting data from the state a little more quickly related to the pension plan. No non-compliance, no findings, no negative issues that we noted during our review of the numbers or internal controls or anything of that nature. So all good news there. The next page, to get into just a few of the numbers. Next page is some of the key estimates that are in the financial. So the first big estimate is your net pension liability. And this comes from, half of it comes from your actuaries. Every year they calculate what your future pension liability will be. And then we compare that to the assets, the cash and investments that are held in the pension plan trusts. If the liability exceeds the asset, you have a net pension liability. and you're underfunded. If the assets exceed the liability, then you're overfunded. So the police plan, you'll see that for 2021, you were overfunded by 826,000. You're now underfunded by about 1.25 million. So a pretty big swing there. The reason for that, every year your liability is going to go up. Your employees get a little older, you have salary increases, so that liability is always going to increase. But we also had a big drop in assets this year. This was something I ran into with every municipality we work on. Your assets were down 1.3 million. They went from about 13.4 down to 12.1. It's about an 11% drop. That decreases, in my opinion, excellent. Most of the municipalities I went to, it was between a 15 and a 20% drop. So for you guys to be at 11, you're definitely on the low end of what I saw in the municipalities for 2022. And what I've heard so far is most municipalities, a lot of that's already been made up in 2023. Those losses were market driven. The non-uniform pension plan, you'll see it was overfunded by about 700,000 in 2020. The overfunding increased to about 1.4 million in 21. That is your PMRS plan, and the reason that didn't sort of flip the way your police plan did, you're on a 1-year delay with the information you get for PMRS. So you're actually in your 22 financial, you're presenting 22 information for your police plan because that's a single employer plan, that's your plan, but 21 information for the employee plan because that's run through PMRS. The MMO, minimum municipal obligation, this is the amount you're required to contribute to your pension plans each year. This also comes from your actuary. Police plan dropped a little bit, went from 660,000 to 627,000, dropped a little bit, but stable. Same with the non-uniform plan, went from 190,000 to 197,000. And then the very last thing on there, the capital assets, probably one of the other bigger estimates you have in your financials is your depreciation and accumulated depreciation on assets. So for your governmental activities, this is everything other than solid waste and golf. Cost of assets is 42.2 million. Accumulated depreciation is 22 million. So you're about 53% of the way through the life of your assets. It's pretty average. You know, most municipalities I go to, it's right in that 50% range. And your business type activities, which is the solid waste and the golf, 3.5 million of cost versus 1.6 million of accumulated depreciation. So a little lower. You're about 44% of the way through the life of your assets. The big capital asset additions for the year, you had about 2.2 million of new capital items, about 250,000 in vehicles, a couple Ford Explorers, I think, for police, Silverado for your fire department, pickup for your code department, a trailer for your public works, 140,000 for a roof, 90,000 for a mini excavator, 300,000 on road projects. And then you also had a big jump because of the new 2022 note that you took out, that borrowing of about 8.1, I think it was 8.1 million. You had about 1.4 million of spending from that borrowing that's also sitting in constructions in progress in your capital asset listing. So about 2.2 million in total. The next page gets into some of the key revenue and expenditure comparisons. That orange line is going to be 21, blue line's 22. These are your major revenue sources for the township. So taxes went from about 6.5 million in total for 21. It's up to about 7.5 million for 2022. EIT is one big piece of that, very steady. It's about 3 million a year. Transfer taxes were up about 150,000, went from about 500 to 650,000 from 21 to 22. Your other big increase is real estate taxes, and you had a 26% increase in millage. Your real estate taxes went from about 3.1 to 3.9 million as a result. Intergovernmental and grant revenues. These are a lot of your sort of, there's a few recurring things and there's sort of a few single shot revenues in here. This went from 850,000 up to 1.5 million. Big driver of that was some payment in lieu receipts related to open space, related to Burnmore Homes. Did I say that right? Barmore? Burnmore. Thank you. I'm sorry. I can't read my own handwriting. Fernmore Homes. Your golf course, pretty flat year on year, about 890,000 last year, was up about 10,000 this year. And solid waste, big increase here. Revenues went from about 1.2 million to 1.5, 1.6 million, about a 330,000 increase in revenues related to a rate increase. You guys had a $42 base fee in 21, went up to $52 base fee in 2022. So 24% rate increase resulted in additional revenue. So all pretty straightforward and probably expected. Right below that, we have your key expenditures. Public safety, obviously being the biggest thing here, went from about 3.4 million in 21 up to about 3.6 million in 2022. I didn't see any single big drivers for that $200,000 increase. Obviously, there was a couple new vehicles that are going to drive that. Payroll was up about 50,000. Fuel costs were up. Looked like mostly the vehicles and just some inflationary type items. Public Works, Highway and Street, big jump there, 1.7 million in 21 versus 3.4 in 2022. And that's going to be that spending I mentioned before from the 2022 borrowing. Golf course expenses, 600,000 last year, dropped a little bit, 580,000 this year. Again, no single big change there, just a little bit of fluctuation from year to year. And then the last one, solid waste expenses, similar to the revenues, we have a big increase here. Went from about 1.3 million, 1.35 million in 21, up to 1.8 million in 2022, a $450,000 increase or 34%. Right. So while you had a 24% increase in revenues, that was not enough to cover the increase in expenses, expenses being about 10% greater of an increase. On the next page, we have your long-term debt. I always like to throw this in the presentation. 4.6 million last year. It's up to 12.3. That's that 8.1 million of borrowing. Again, lasts about 400,000 in scheduled principal payment. And then the last table here, which is probably the most important, this is your fund balance. So if you were in these various fund areas, if you were to take your assets, pay off all your liabilities, this would be what would be left. Starting at the top with the blue line, this is your general fund. Pretty good sustained growth from year to year. 4.3 million in the end of 2020, up to 5.1 last year, and now 6.1 this year. It represents about 75% of annual expenses. So it's a good, healthy fund balance level. Below that, the yellow and orange line kind of overlap here, at least for 20 and 21. The orange line, that's your other governmental funds. That's your equipment fund, liquid fuels, the new 2022 capital project fund for the spending of the borrowed money. So that all those funds, they were about 1.3 million for 2020 and 2021. And then you see that big shooting up. That's because of the new bond money. And as you spend that, you'll start to see that come back down. Overlapping with that was the solid waste fund, which is trending downward just a little bit. It was $1.3 million at the end of 20 and 21. It's down to about 1.2 million at the end of 22. And again, that goes back to the increase in expenditures exceeding the increase in revenue. So until you sort of figure that out, it's probably going to continue to drop a little bit from year to year going forward. And then the gray line, that's your golf course. That's been having pretty good growth. That was in the negative as of 2020 and earlier. In 2021, it finally turned to the black, largely thanks to a lot of people hitting the golf course during the pandemic. And it continues to grow. It's up to about 500,000 of fund balance at the end of 2022. So overall, with the exception of the solid waste fund, pretty good fund balance growth across the board. And then the last The last page is just some of the stuff that we're doing in the background. I always like to kind of give a really quick overview of what we do as part of the audit. We confirm a lot of your cash, your debt. We do a significant amount of testing of subsequent receipts and payments for receivables and payables. A lot of capital asset testing, a lot of your revenues we confirm. We confirm taxes with tax collectors, any grants that we can with the state. And then when it comes to expenses, we do a lot of data analytic, a lot of data-driven testing. This first table here is what's known as a Benford test. We get the entire general ledger from Lisa. That's a report that is every individual transaction of the township for the year. We run it through the software. What Benford's law says is in any large randomly occurring population of numbers, the first digit will be 1, approximately 30% of the time. First digit will be 2, about 22% of the time, and it keeps working its way down until you get to the first digit will be 9, about 5% of the time. So this graph is actually all the financial data for the township for 2022 in graph form, and you can see it follows that Benford law curve perfectly. We'll also do it for 2 digits, just because this one, while it's great to just show how the law works, I've run this hundreds of times. I've never had a problem with it. So what we do is we run the first 2 digits. So the first 2 digits, 11, 12, 13, all the way up to 99. That's when we tend to get some pops, some abnormalities in the data. We did have a few in your 22 data. We dove into it from an audit perspective, and it was all recurring, payroll, phone charges, those sorts of things. So no issues there when we did that testing. There's a list of a few things underneath that we also do. We do pivot table analysis. We take all of your expenses, lay things out month to month, look for any unusual spikes, decreases in activity. We'll also compare, month to month this year by expense account versus month to month last year. Again, looking for any abnormal activity and aiming our testing there. We do predictive analytics before we even start your 22 audit. We'll look at, I guess for this year it would have been 18, 19, 20, and 21's audits. We'll look at trends in expenses and revenues and come out with what we think will happen here in 2022. Then when we actually start the audit, we'll compare what we thought would happen to what actually happened. And again, aim our testing at those, any abnormalities that are found. The idea with all of those things that we do is we're not coming in and doing the same things every year. We're not looking at the same expense accounts. We're not looking at the same vendors. We're not looking at certain amounts, certain expenses over $10,000. It is a very random look based on a risk-based approach. We also will look at W-2s for all your employees, inquire about any unusual variances. We look at journal entries that are made through the year. We look at your vendors, make sure they all make sense. So again, just kind of a look behind the curtain a little bit at how we're doing things behind the scenes in the audit. So with that, I think that's really everything I have. I'd be happy to field any questions if there are any.
Commissioners, any questions? Staff? Residents here in the township, any questions? The full presentation. Sorry, I had to step out for a moment. Did I miss all the excitement?
You missed everything that was exciting.
Oh, okay. We do have one question in Zoom. Hand raised. Who do we have?
Hi, it's Mark DeYoung, 20
Welcome,
Beaver Run
Mark.
Road. Could you just maybe give a 2-minute overview of the borrowings and expenses, the 8.1 million borrowings, and how we're expending that right now? And I guess my general question is, are we in the right direction with that amount of money for all of the projects that we need to be done, and are things going the way they should be done?
Good. Well, and just to be specific, this is the 2022 budget presentation, so it wouldn't have anything to do with
Audit.
Audit. So this has nothing to do with this year spending, but whatever you can clarify.
Yeah,
Chris, thank you.
During the year, and I don't have the trial balance in front of me that breaks it down, because I know there's a lot of different expense accounts in the GL for the variety of different projects that are happening. Out of the $8.1 million bond borrowing, There was 42,000 of that went towards the issuance cost. That's typical for any bond note borrowing. There's always some issuance costs. There was, I think, 1.597 million of expenses. It was a lot of engineering, so it was a lot of sort of the startup expenses for a lot of these projects that are going to be happening, a lot of the research engineering type things. So as far as the overall capital plan, I'm not sure what that is for the variety of projects. I'm not sure if some of that is investigatory at the end of 22 and you're just trying to figure out where things are going. The board could probably speak to that more than I could, but we did do extensive testing of those expenses, both from an expense standpoint and a capital asset standpoint, and we had no issue with what was being spent or how it was being spent.
All right, Mike, or Mark, does that answer your question?
Pretty much. I guess that's fine. I can't come up with the right question right now, so
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other hands raised? Well, if that concludes your presentation, thank you so much, Chris.
All right, thank you so
Appreciate
much,
the time.
and we should have the final versions out next week.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
All right, have
Y'all
a good evening.
night.
Thank you. Very well done. Thank you, Lisa, as well.
Tickle in my throat. What is that? What? It looks like a. All right, next on the agenda, we have, Mr. Brookhart. Ross, how are you?
Good evening. I'm doing well. How about you?
Good, good. What do we have on the agenda here?
All right. So for this evening, for your consideration, we have the payment application number 2 from Foresight Concepts LLC. That's for the Reed Street Drainage Improvements Project. So they are requesting payment in the amount of $170,288.81, and that's for work completed in the past month. And just to give you a brief overview of the project, they've done majority of the storm drainage improvements on 17th Avenue and the eastern half of Reed Street. And then the bulk of the remaining work is the storm and sanitary sewer that will come up 14th Avenue and the remainder of the Reed Street improvements and paving. So that's kind of just a brief status update of where we are. And their payment application number 2, we didn't see any issues with that. And so we recommend that be approved.
All right, so the amount is $170,288.81, and the remaining $18,960 is the retainage, correct?
Correct.
Okay, commissioners, any questions on this?
No.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tendero, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion's good, 5-0. I did forget to ask. Yeah, any comments from residents? Apologize for that. None? No hands raised? Okay. Are you part of the second one? Or I guess Mr. Stackhouse.
Yes, sir. I asked Mr. Bickart to stay for this. This is a request for the board consideration to approve and authorize board president to sign Gilmore and Associates PSA number 2303-08301 for the Geo Carlson Boulevard retaining wall replacement project for a not to exceed cost of $16,900. As the commissioners probably remember, you approved a PSA previously for emergency shoring for the retaining wall on the Zinn Road side of the golf course, actually right across from the golf course. That had we noticed had buckled and was in jeopardy of collapsing. Mr. Bickart followed through with that PSA. We did get the emergency shoring. The next step now is to evaluate the entire length of that wall. As you'll read in there, there's approximately 400 feet of additional wall that has obvious signs of buckling. This PSA is specifically to evaluate the potential repairs and what would be involved and an initial cost estimate. You know, excluded from that is anything that has to do with surveys or developing a plan. This is really that initial investigation on what some potential options and what those costs would be. That PSA is in the amount of not to exceed, again, 16,900, which means we would only be billed based on what the services provided.
Commissioners, any questions on this?
No.
Clean cut. Questions from residents? None here in the township building? None online? All right, take a vote. All in, yeah,
moved.
yeah, this tickle's getting to me. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved. Moved by Commissioner Kennedy, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's good, 4-0. Did I say 5-0 last time? 4-0. Thank you, just have it. Just caught me.
Just work
Thank,
for it.
thanks for hanging out, Ross.
Thanks,
Thank
Ross.
you
That was it? I was hoping
Appreciate
for
it.
more. You're not here to talk about trails or anything yet?
I think next meeting we're planning to have something for the trail.
Sweet.
Good.
Looking forward to that.
Yep.
Yeah, Abby's here smiling. She can't wait.
And Tony.
Oh,
Don't start. Ross, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Yeah, that was the next one. All right, Mr. Stackhouse, you have another request?
Yeah, the second one is a request for board consideration to approve payment number 1 in the amount of 47,178 payable to Long's Asphalt Incorporated for work completed through August 31st, 2023 for the 2023 road program. Obviously, Long's was awarded our road program this year. They did base repair, mill, and overlay of the municipal parking lot. So that was completed, and this would be payment number 1 for that.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? Residents, any questions? None here, no hands raised. Not online, I'm sorry. Liquid Fuels takes care of this. All right, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
question,
Yes.
sorry. The invoice that's in our packet, it says 52,000. Oversight?
I'm glad you caught that. I apologize. I don't have that invoice in front of me.
Which one you looking at?
For Lowe's Asphalt Inc. Page 41. Is that what you're quoting?
No,
For
No, this-
47,000?
yeah, 47,178, page 38.
Yeah, it does say
Lowe's
52,000.
Asphalt.
Is that for another one?
That looks like it's this one.
It's the same one.
Parking.
One.
Page 41 of our packet, it's showing a 52,420 bill
Yeah.
from Long Asphalt, but the arrow letter
That's something
says
different.
47,000.
Yeah, but the top it says 48.
There's 2 different numbers. The
Yeah.
number on here is not the number on Arrow's letter.
Do we have a payment in already?
Yeah, they differ.
Yeah, but the letter from Arrow says 52,000.
No, the
No,
letter
but-
from arrow is 47.
Long,
Okay.
Long says
And-
50.
Oh, you're
Long's-
saying Long's invoice says 52. What's the date on that?
7th of September, is that?
Yes.
And arrows September 19th.
September 7th.
That's probably not
Completed?
less than 47 months.
Would be, yeah,
Okay.
apologize.
No, I just saw 2 different numbers on it.
Good catch.
Yeah, if you look on the
Yeah, it is
detail,
the
if you look
retainage.
on the
Yeah.
detail sheet,
242
Okay.
is the retainage.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so
All
it
right,
is,
thank you.
good clarification, of 47,178.
All right.
just a quick comment on that. As some of you may know, there was damage done to that parking lot by a trash contractor. That trash contractor filed an insurance claim. We got a separate quote from Longs to actually re-mill the entire parking lot, pave it, restripe it, and we just got the insurance company to approve that, and that'll take place in next spring at this point. So,
Thank you.
Okay. So moved in second. You, Denise, did remember who?
We didn't get
Was
that
there a
far.
motion?
Oh, we didn't?
No.
Okay.
Go for the
Entertain a motion
question.
to approve.
Moved.
Okay, I'm gonna go with you two.
And-
Moved by
okay.
Commissioner Kennedy, second by Commissioner
Second.
Tindaro. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's good, 4-0.
Yeah, now we got the right numbers.
Under ordinance and resolutions, we do have a tabled item. I know Josh has a lot to say about this.
Tabled.
Yeah,
If we could just, we'll
Yeah.
table it
We're-
one more round when he's back.
right.
Heat up the evening. Minutes to approve. Excuse me, September 14th. It's a shame. I think we're all sick up here.
I better not be after this meeting.
Yeah,
Must be the ventilation.
I think we're all
I
working
haven't
too
sneezed
much.
all day. You don't wanna hear that one.
All right, the September 14th Board of Commissioner minutes. Any questions, additions needed? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Kennedy. All in favor, say aye.
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 Next, acknowledgement of the receipt and to approve August 15th, 2023 Planning Commission minutes. Entertain a motion.
so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tindaro, second by Commissioner Evans. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's good, 4-0. Ms. Swan, we have financial reports.
You will find the financial reports in your packet. The bulk of my presentation was done by Mr. Chris Har. Thank you for listening and approving and asking questions. That is all I have for tonight, other than the motion to approve the accounts payable list.
Excuse me, Commissioners, any questions on the financial report? Any this time? Entertain a motion to, or actually, any questions on the payroll or check run? Do we have, you don't have the check
Yeah, we do have check.
run numbers here?
We don't have the number.
Yeah, it's in the meeting packet, page.
Check run 50,795.
5088,
Making me work here, Denise.
50882,
50882.
Page 70 and 71.
and manual check 295.
Yeah,
There you go. All right, any questions on the check run?
no, looks good.
Entertain a motion or, entertain a motion to approve?
So
So
moved.
moved.
So moved.
Second,
Moved by Commissioner
She
Tindaro,
did
second
both.
by Commissioner Kennedy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Check run has been approved. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank
Meat and
you,
potatoes
Lisa.
time, director's reports, police chief. The microphone? Excuse me, was going on vacation. Sunday. Yes, chief.
Quick update on the noise complaint issue from the board meeting a month ago. So we sent a letter to the ownership. I've been in contact with the manager to identify a solution. We went almost a month without a complaint. We had one last night, unfortunately, but I feel like we're making progress. So I'll continue to update you. October 8th, civil service testing for police applicants, physical agility and written testing. And then the process will evolve after that. That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
We have many candidates for that civil service? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Do we have many candidates?
We had, how many applied?
Yes.
25,
20, wow, that's
25,
Yeah, that's,
which is a better turnout than what we have been experiencing the last couple of years.
Wow, that's
So that's
awesome.
a good sign.
yes, that's good to hear.
Are there many people in, trying to think. Oh. That had been in the service?
There are applicants who have military backgrounds.
Okay.
Yes.
Were there a lot compared to
there's a
the other
handful.
ones?
There's a
A lot?
no. There's a few. There's
Oh, I'm
a
sorry.
small handful.
Okay,
Is that
Thank you.
positive? Is that a good attribute to have, coming into
Yes.
the police force, that experience?
All right, Chief. Thank you so much.
thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, we have our department, Chief Taylor. Patrick, welcome this evening.
Good evening. So first, I want to thank Commissioner Evans for that unexpected little plug regarding the fire company. So thank you. So yes, open house. Just a couple more things. So I love food. So we're having Big Boys Barbecue. Attend our open house as well. So please mark it in your calendars. It's not only for kids, for adults as well. We'll have a lot of great activities and a lot of great information. So please stop by. A couple other things through the report. Again, I want to call out because I commend my crew for the training that they do beyond the basics. And this past month in August, 2 of our probably youngest, or on the younger side, members did complete their water rescue operations course in the month of August. So again, I'm hoping that the more people we get qualified, the more people I say during this meeting, the less floods we have.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to report we have about a little over a dozen members qualified at that operations level. So again, we continue to build that. It's a good problem to have that we need to keep buying more equipment in that. But again, hope we don't have to use it. So I'm very pleased for our younger members to really be building their training repertoire. And the other, exciting news, while it was tail end of August, but happy to report that the Chevy Silverado Instant Command vehicle that was purchased in, I believe, May of 2022, finally was placed in service. It finally was, it's being used actively, and it's been a very busy month since so it's getting its workout already for calls. But again, just thank you to the board and the residents and everything that make that happen. That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Commissioners, any questions?
Appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Seriously,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
All right, next we have Mancos Fire Company Ambulance EMS Chief Stewart.
Chief Mancos EMS.
You like that?
First and foremost, I'm going to fall on the sword. My apologies. My report is not in your packet. I did not get mine submitted on time, so I will make sure that that is updated in the next month's packet for you for both the last 2 months combined.
As long as you're taking care of our residents.
Oh, we're taking care of them. I can tell you that.
Yep.
We're a little low this month. We had 213 emergencies in Callan for the month, but busy nevertheless. That's call volume wise. We're approaching 4,000 calls for the year, and at that point, we were here at Callan Day. Hopefully, you guys got to stop by and see us before the rain embarked upon us.
Yeah.
But other than that, it is smooth sailing in the EMS world. Real quick plug though, COVID has reared its head again. It is back in force. Just a PSA, get your flu shots and your COVID boosters if you haven't already.
Thank you.
Thank
Good tip.
you.
Of course, we're up here sneezing and coughing, so
I have a
that's
sore
not
throat,
a good
so
thing.
yeah, I'm in the same boat. I get you.
I'm scheduled for the 9th. I'm getting them both.
They do have them together, so it's one needle, so it
Oh,
saves you
wow.
that.
Yeah.
Unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
We're
Thank
good.
you.
Andrew, thank you so much.
No one told me they were sick till I sat here.
Blob in the, you know,
All right, our favorite topic, the golf course.
yay.
Nicole, how are you?
Poor generation.
Oh,
I'm great.
All right.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Nicole, welcome.
So, I don't know if I got my report in on time. I was kind of, okay, I did. So it's in there. It's been a crazy month. The weather finally turned, so we're able to do some cool weather things, get a little more aggressive without having to worry about the golf course drying out. We did run out of water last month to irrigate things. We needed to rent a pump to pump water from one side of the golf course to the other. That was something that was unexpected, I suppose. But that pump was destroyed in the hurricane, I think. So we didn't have any other options. But August turned out, a revenue 97,000, which is awesome. These are good numbers. 108 golfers a day playing the golf course, which is awesome. Though the rumors of the golf course conditions have spread pretty far, and the golf community talks a lot, and and it is most of the things they're saying are true. Our greens are in rough shape. That is from the damage that happened earlier this spring. It's been a very slow recovery, an expensive recovery, but we've seen a ton of progress. We're all very happy. The members comment daily. Today was a fantastic day. The weather was awesome. We had a lot of golf, and everyone was pointing out the improvements on the greens. I did send out a letter, published a letter. It was read online as well, and in the newsletter. I tried to be as honest as I can be. That's the situation we're in, and we're working very hard to remedy, the damages that happened in March and April. Anyhow, so for the year, with 4 months left, total revenue, three quarters of $1 million. So, we're making money. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We're excited. A lot of golfers. We're mowing grass 11 feet at a time now.
you got it.
It's
It came in.
really, really awesome. Speeds
Mhm.
things up. But the rest of the mowers aren't working, so it's really just the one now. But I'm glad we have it because it counts for a few people. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else. We just are chugging along. Next month we're aerifying greens. We're punching holes in greens. We are switching to our winter rates couple months early this year. Try to drive up some more golf. Give back to the people that played with us all year, despite the conditions. So, yeah, we're excited for the rest of the year. 4 more months to pack in as much golf as we can.
Nicole, I wanted to thank you, and I wanted to personally, I'd like to apologize to you for what social media has done for the wildly inappropriate attacks. We all know that there's some issues there, but where some of those posts went is just flat out disgusting. It's been my experience that if you care about your township and you care about what's here, you roll up your sleeves and say, what can I do to get this better?
Right.
You don't just go typing away saying, stay away from there, it's awful, awful, awful. I'm sorry, I just had to get that off my chest because I've read so much of it. You've been doing a bang-up job since you came in. And, you know, I expect to see that audit line, you know, year after year, just keep growing.
It is.
Thank you for everything you're doing. I do have one question. Do you think that by spring, we'll have things to where we can start a good promotional campaign?
The goal is spring. We will come out of winter in phenomenal conditions, and be able to really push for golf. And you know, it's a challenge, but I love it so much, and I'm so driven and determined. So we're gonna get there for sure. I think better than ever.
I believe you.
Be. So, and I appreciate the compliments. I too read the reviews. I have to. I like to. It's fuel. But you know, there a lot of the things were out of our control, and we just had to tough it out, and do the best we could, and we did, and we still are. And yes, spring, March, April, we're gonna be in phenomenal shape.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let us know,
Thank
you know,
very much.
where we can go and bang on the doors to make sure that those golf carts are on their way, because
Yeah.
we're ready to
Jeez,
take
yeah.
a trip.
Yeah.
Any word on those, the golf carts?
I sent an unanswered email out on Monday, and hadn't heard back yet. So we're gonna still hound him for answers. But right now, at the rate we're going, the 40 or so carts we have are dropping like flies.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to have Kristen Camp send an email to these people. I mean,
As
they
far as I know,
if
it's
they're
a
not
it's a
replying.
manufacturing issue. That, you know, they're probably waiting on one tiny little part to complete the cart and get it over to us, and that's frustrating. But you know, our carts are holding up okay. It would be great if the patrons of our golf course would not crash them into ponds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, as much as I appreciate the County Police Department, I'm sick of seeing them at the golf course.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. And we're dealing with that on top of everything. But there's only so much we can do to push them to get the carts done. I'm sure they're just waiting on a part.
Last thing I'll say is it would be nice if someone in the social media world would push out, hey, if your kids are over there on Ingleside tearing up the greens with golf carts, running them into each other and into the water traps, then you should do something about it, because that doesn't seem to get mentioned on social media at all.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
unfortunately, it's not necessarily kids.
Yeah.
These are adults that make really bad decisions.
Yes.
And disrespect our golf course. And I've personally spoken with them. As often as I can, I talk to the people that have done it and explain to them how they're messing with my livelihood. They're disrespecting me and the township, and they won't be welcome back. That's the most we can do, besides asking for restitution in some way. So, yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
Nicole,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much, Nicole.
Thank
Thank you to you and your staff. You're
Yes.
doing an outstanding
Yes.
job.
Yes.
Yeah, the staff is awesome.
They are.
Can't ask for more. It's amazing. They work really, really hard.
Thank you. Mr. Stackhouse.
Yes, sir.
Best for last, right?
I don't know about that. I think it must have got flipped then. Just a couple highlights. I mean, permits and inspections obviously continue. I'm sure that this year will probably surpass permits and inspections that we've had since I took this position, and I don't see that ending anytime soon. So, code enforcement. One of the things I wanted to mention, it's never good or nice to report that we have, a high rate of notices of violation. But one of the things I did want to point out when it comes to that enforcement activities, 255 enforcement activities, 87 violations. And out of that, 178 of those activities are not related to actually issuing the notice of violation or going to court or issuing citations. They're knocking on doors, making phone calls, sending emails. So I just wanted to point out that, that we do everything we can prior to doing those things. From a residential perspective, well, actually from a commercial perspective, both Dunkin' Donuts are back open and operational. So it was getting a little crazy at the new one when the old one closed for some renovations, but they're both back opening. And actually, I'm not sure if the chief has heard, and I really haven't been down there because the renovated one just opened back up. I don't believe that we're having the traffic back up in the Lincoln Highway like we were having, since COVID, really, since they closed the inside. So hopefully that relieves some of that. As you know, we have multiple other commercial projects, definitely in different phases of construction. From a residential perspective, a little bit of update on my place in the Willows at Valley Run. My place, again, anticipates some townhome rentals by the end of October, early November. And Willows, I just spoke to their property management people. They had a leasing program start like 2 weeks ago, and they had 400 applications.
Wow.
Out of those 400 applications now, they'll start all those people were pre-approved. They'll start processing them to try to pick. The first building's only a 12-unit building. So out of those, there's only, 12, but they anticipate within the next couple of weeks, they'll probably have people occupying the first building. So that's moving along pretty good. And obviously it was needed if it's filling up that quick. Speaking of land development plans, land development projects, you do have, I'm sure Denise probably let you know, the Hills at Thorndale Woods, which will probably change its name once it's sold. They're going to settlement next week. Those plans are in the back if you can make sure you sign them. They're literally chomping at the bit. And we have a pre-con tentatively scheduled for October 10th, and they plan to break ground literally that day. So, that'll probably, weather depending, that'll probably move along from a site perspective fairly quickly. Storm Ida, we're still awaiting FEMA's response to what kind of funding we're going to get. Last week, and Lisa can attest, email them twice a week, and we're supposed to be in the top of the queue, meaning they're discussing that. So we're really anticipating any day finding out what our reimbursement for what we've spent so far. I did want to mention Ryan Lewis. He's enrolled in Fire Inspector 1, and Tom Urvelli, one of my part-timers, is in an arson and fire pattern detection course. From a public works standpoint, the rest of the road paving is supposed to start the 16th is what we're anticipating. And then November, the Geo Carlson Bridge and Culvert, the PSA, we approved and awarded that bid for that scour repair and wall repair. On the golf course side, we're still waiting for a mobilization date. We're getting a little runaround from the contractor just about material and getting his equipment here, but we're hoping that will start in November, early November. You already mentioned the chipping program, and then the leaf program starts October 30th.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it.
I gotta say, I finally took a ride up at my place. I mean,
Pretty up there.
they're beautiful buildings. They're beautiful buildings,
Off the
and
hill,
that's kinda,
mountaintop.
that's what I wanna see on Lincoln Highway.
Yeah, they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, they really are.
All right, next we have additional business. Additional business at this time. No hands raised, I'm gonna move on.
No,
Public comment.
no additional business? From the back of the room? Yeah,
Oh,
you.
yeah. No, Adam.
Yeah.
Adam, did you have additional business?
Were you gonna share something about something that you? Okay,
Oh,
all right, okay. Excellent, thank you.
okay, we know nothing.
I
Okay.
heard nothing.
Public comment? None here in the township building? Any in, online? Hands raised? All right, entertain a.
So moved.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned, have a great evening.
7 minutes. Hour and 7 minutes.
Did it.
All right.
Did it, Terry.
Oh, man.
Man, I'm telling you, if you guys get me